Hi, today I'm going to be showing you how to use our Rustic Stag mould. This is a very popular mould we've just brought out. It works perfectly with our rustic birch and bark, so you can make rustic wedding cakes, Christmas cakes. The large stag head as well is very popular for using on cards. So you have here the large stag head, a standing stag figure, a lying down stag figure, and a little baby here. These two larger full-figured stags have been made so that when you place them together they're facing each other, so that looks really effective. You've also got here your antlers for either of the two full figures. I'll be showing you how to attach these. So I'm just going to show you how to mould the standing stag here. So we just dust the mould with corn flour first and tap out any excess. And then here, the leaflet that you receive with the mould tells you how many grams of sugar paste you need for each figure. So for the standing one, it's roughly 40 grams. I always just try and give myself a little bit extra so that I've got enough to work with. So I've just coloured some Davies sugar paste, a nice caramel pale brown colour. With my figures, I always try and think what their body is mostly coloured as, and then make my sugar paste this colour, and then do any shading and painting with other colours on top. So you want to give yourself like the least amount of work to do, so you haven't got lots and lots of painting. So now that's needed, I'm just going to roll a very rough sausage figure and just make sure that the surface you're going to push in is smooth. So I'm just going to turn this around and start with his head. So I'm just pushing in nice and firmly. I'm just using my fingers to stroke the paste up into areas like his ear, his nose. And all the time I'm really making sure that I'm pressing it firmly, so I'm picking up all the detail in the mould. So you're just using your fingers to guide your paste down his neck. And then when you get to his first set of legs, you just want to give yourself a bit of excess sugar paste here and just squeeze and press down. Squeeze and press down so it goes all the way to the bottom of his hooves. And then the gap between his legs, again, just with your fingers, just stroke nice and firmly. You can be nice and rough, don't worry about tearing your sugar paste or anything like that. Like that. So then work your way to the end of his body and up to his tail, and then down again into his legs. Like that. So then once you're at the end, you can just firmly press and pull with your thumb to get rid of any excess. So I just go over once more, make sure that my paste isn't over the edges anywhere. Everything's nice and flat. Like that. So once you're happy, I always look with figures that have got delicate areas like his legs. You'd always try and do it from his head first. Ooh. So you just pull his legs away gently like that to make sure they don't stretch. So now you've got your stag figure. You've already got, if you look at the top of his head, you've got little indents there, and that's where his antlers are going to go. But while he's still soft, use those indents as a guide and just use a ball tool to gently wriggle your way in, like that. And it just gives the antlers a pocket for you to push them into, and it just makes them more secure when your stags are stood up on your cake and you've glued your antlers in. So for the antlers, if I just place him to one side, I've coloured a dark brown colour here. So again, just dust the mould with corn flour, tap out any excess, And again, I'm just rolling a very rough sausage shape. Start at one end and just use your fingers to press nice and firmly and stroke up into all the areas here. And then once you're done, just tear away with your thumb. Make sure it's not over the edges anywhere. And then you can just turn the mould over and push and peel back. So I'll just show you one antler there. I've made some earlier because what you do now is before attaching them, you should allow your antlers to dry first. So here's the two I made earlier. So I'm just going to bring my stag back now. Now you can either use edible glue, which is made of Tyler powder and water, to attach your antlers, or a little bit of royal icing. So you want to be pressing your antlers in while your figure is still soft. Like that. So you've got his antlers in there now. So you can paint him while they're drying. So I've got here powder colours. And for the stag, I like to start off with milk chocolate here. And you just want quite a large fluffy brush, a little bit of brown on your brush. And I just start by dusting any areas that would have shadow on his body, so like the creases of his legs, like that. His underbelly, like that. His neck's legs. Under his tail. You can see as well all the markings on the mould will, when you're brushing over with your brush, it'll pick up the very fine fur markings. So it's just about adding that extra detail that really brings him to life. So I'm just doing the underneath of his neck. Do a little bit on his neck as well, because his neck wouldn't be all one colour. You'd have a few different shades in there. The base of his antlers. A little bit on his ears, just to add a bit of extra detail. Under his mouth and his neck area, and just a little bit down the front of his nose, like that. So next I'm just going to go in with a lighter brown. This one's called Biscuit, and same again, but this time I'm just adding a bit of colour to anywhere that would have highlights. So a little bit further up his belly, like that, the front of his neck, bit on his legs, tail, and just a little touch on his face, just to add more detail. So next, I just want a tiny bit of pink powder colour, and this is just going to go in this ear that you can see the inside of here. Don't want too much, but just a little touch makes a lot of difference. You could also put a little tiny touch of it on his cheek. Now I'm going to paint his eye black. So I'm just using a black powder colour, but this time going to mix it with a little bit of isopropyl alcohol, and this just turns the powder into a paint. And I always just use the lid because it keeps things nice and tidy and you're not wasting any of your powders then. So I'm just going to fill in this eye here that you can see. Oh, and his nose. Like that. And then to finish his eye off, I just like to give, and with all my characters, I just like to give them a little white highlight. And this really brings them to life. So again, just with the isopropyl alcohol, just do a small dot in his eye. And then if you want, you could also just draw a very thin, curved line, like that. So now we just need to add a little bit of highlight to his antlers. So again, just on any raised areas, don't have to do it on all of them, but just to give it a little bit of contrast. Like that. And then to finish, we just need to paint his hooves. So I'll bring the brown back, mix with the isopropyl alcohol, and then just go over the hooves, like that. And there you have your standing stag. Here's a sitting one that I made earlier.
Cool.
So in the back here, you can see the little baby stag as well. He's just been coloured in the exact same way, but I've just added a few little white markings on the back of his thigh. With the large stag head, his antlers are all part of one piece, so you just need to mould the whole head and the antlers all at once. And then I've coloured these here in the biscuit colour that I used earlier to colour the standing stag. And then again, just added some white highlights, and his body and his eyes have all been coloured the same way as the standing one. Thank you for watching, and I hope you found the tutorial useful. For more information and for more of our videos, visit our website www.karendaviscakes.co.uk.